Hi and welcome. My name is Tara and this is the Lazy Manifester because I have lazied my way through getting my dream life. I have had 8 grand fall into my lap. No, I do not invest in stocks. I invest in nothing, which is pretty bad. I probably should. I did not have to open up my laptop. I did not have to get off the couch. I did not have to work. I sat watching what was I watching? I don't know, like The Middle or Kath and Kim, and this money fell, it's like it dropped from the sky. I manifested my dream house, not in the traditional sense, and I'm manifesting my dream career. All of this, all of it has fallen into my lap because I patiently waited. You have to allow life to play catch up. And here's the thing, your life is not going to look like what you think it's going to look like. It's going to be so much better, but you have to be saying yes to the opportunities. So just imagine, right? All I've done is affirm. That's how I've manifested everything into my life. That is the lazy manifester way, is just affirming even when you don't see anything changing. Now, I was that person where I felt like manifestation wasn't working for me. I'm just that 1% of the population where the Range Rover isn't falling into my lap. I'm not getting the dream house. I was a single mom living with my parents in my 30s. And this is a lot common now given the state of the economy. Okay. But I felt like a failure. My youngest sister was out renting and I'm still stuck at home with a baby, given she's 8 years old now. But my life, it's been a journey. My life was chaos. I was going through court. It was so messy. My life was in shambles. I didn't have a job at the time. My daughter was 2 or 4 months old when I left the relationship. And so I feel like I have been dragging myself through the mud to finally get where I am now. My life is boring and I love it. I've just been wanting to manifest a boring, peaceful life, considering the last 8 years has been hell for me. My manifestation journey, and I want to say all of this because, I really want to speak to the people that manifestation doesn't feel like it's working for you. You're wondering if manifestation is real. And yes, I have lazied my way to the top. Like when I say to the top, to where I wanted to be in life. All I did was affirm. I took the aligned action that I felt I needed to take to get to where I am. The opportunities fell into my lap, but the aligned action was to move forward with those opportunities. Now, I run my own business now, but at the very beginning of my journey, I needed a job. And living with my parents now I know not everyone is in the position I was in, but you really have to take your life for what it is right now and steer it in the direction you want, because it doesn't matter your situation. It doesn't matter that you can't live with your parents. It doesn't, like, that stuff. In hindsight now, it actually doesn't matter because you can still manifest what it is that you want, but you have to ignore. This is the trick, okay? When they're saying, like, what's the trick to manifestation? This is it. What I'm about to tell you. You have to ignore your 3D reality. What you're currently experiencing is your thoughts and words from days ago, weeks ago, months ago, years ago. You have to kind of get in your head that your words manifest. The more you linger in victimhood, the more you linger in the economy is terrible, the more you linger in lack, you are going to manifest from that mindset in whatever way that manifests. Okay, it could manifest in any sort of way. So you have to imagine that every word you say to yourself, your inner dialogue, conversations you have with people, the visuals, your daydreaming, daydreams, words, and emotions, they create your reality. So I think I like to say to my clients, because we're constantly going back to memories. So not only are you affirming what it is that you want throughout the day, you're going to use the visuals as well, which is what I did. So imagine, well, not imagine, but what we do is we tend to go from the past and we manifest from that. We take like an argument that we've had in the past or a negative experience with someone or just a situation, and we're bringing it into the present moment as we're thinking about that. Like our present, our now is us remembering that negative experience, and that's where we think of the comeback. We're getting riled up, we're getting angry, we may have tears start streaming from our face because that experience is creating, that memory is creating a current emotion. And then because you're currently experiencing what you are, you're manifesting from that point. So we have to train our minds. Instead of thinking from the past and bringing it into the present, we have to think from the future and bring that into the present. Now, you don't have to know what it feels like to earn $10,000 a month to be living in your dream job, because that can feel really hard about what that could feel like. All you have to do, and this sounds so cliche, like I get it, like I was there, but now that I'm in the position that I'm in and I have gotten my freedom, I've gotten my dream house, I can say 100% that even though it's cliche, it's what works, it's what's real. You have to be in gratitude, in joy, happiness. You have to open up that heart space. Because now that you're feeling the positive emotions and you're bringing that future experience into the now just by visualizing a scene of, it could be shaking hands with someone in the job interview because you've gotten the job. It could be the doctor saying congratulations, like you're well. Just picture a scene that naturally comes. It doesn't have to be the same scene every time. Like mix it up. Just do what feels natural. You have to keep training your mind from catching yourself out from thinking from the past to bringing the future into the present, and just feel so much gratitude, happiness, and joy. You don't have to know what it feels like to be a millionaire. Just live in gratitude, live in the joy, and be like, and you're going to sound crazy. This felt so unnatural to begin with, but it's the only way. You have to trick your mind thinking that it has already experienced it, because it doesn't know. Your mind has no idea from what's real to what's fake. It only knows what you tell it. So if you're telling it to keep experiencing the argument, that toxic relationship, that toxic boss, those terrible people that bullied you, if you keep thinking about that and bringing it into the present moment, you're going to keep manifesting from that mindset. So awareness is key. You have to keep training your mind and becoming consciously aware of what you're thinking about in that moment. And it can be really hard to override that. It took me a long time to be able to do that. Now it's effortless. Now I do it automatically. We're always going to be thinking from the past. We're always going to we are always going to be having to catch ourselves out. It's just what our mind naturally wants to do because we've already experienced it. But the more you can train your mind to bring the future into the now and feel that love, joy, and happiness, the better. Do it all day long. Your visuals, your words, whether it's your inner dialogue or conversations you're having with friends, this is where you have to become aware of the conversations you're having and the types of people you surround yourself with. Because those conversations, that inner dialogue, are words you are constantly casting spells to the universe. You are constantly casting spells with every word you say. So if it's a glow up you want, even though you're not seeing the results right now, you have to ignore what you're currently experiencing, because what you're experiencing is all your like manifestations from the thoughts and visuals you had yesterday, a few weeks ago, months ago, years ago. It's all manifesting now. This is like what you're experiencing now is those thoughts and words. So you have to start messy. You have to start now by just affirming the opposite. It really is that simple. Now, I didn't used to believe what I was telling myself, but I knew I just had to start somewhere to get to where I am now. So when I would be in the lack of, like, I don't have my house, I'm living with my parents. Now, mind you, my parents don't have a big house. We don't live in luxury. We were living on top of each other. So keep that in mind. Like, I wasn't like in a beautiful luxury house. So it was really, really hard to ignore what I was experiencing, but I just had to keep doing it. Now, I have manifested my way to my dream life in being dysregulated, being stressed out, having doubt, and it still worked. You still have to experience, well, you still have to feel what you're feeling. Because if you don't allow those emotions out of the body, that's also then going to manifest in certain ways. You have to allow the emotions to come out of the body through crying, screaming into a pillow, punching it out, throwing pillows on the ground, journaling. You have to experience those emotions. I was crying all the time. I was having so many doubts. But I kept being optimistic. I just knew that I had to keep going, because I also had like little thing. It was all like the little things that I knew I had manifested that showed me that it does work. I was having the right mentors coming in. I had a job fall into my lap at the very beginning of my journey. Um, so I think that's what I was saying earlier. I've literally had everything fall into my lap. Given I was living with my parents, they were my safety net. So not everyone will have that safety net. But as I was saying, you have to take your situation for what it is, because no matter what you're currently experiencing, you can still turn it around. You just have to keep on top of what it is that you're saying to yourself, what it is that you're visualizing. Is that like, are you remembering like a past experience, or you have to become aware of that and bring the future into the present, and you just have to keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And when you're catching yourself out in your daydream or having that internal dialogue when you're driving, going to sleep, just throughout the day, catch yourself out in the moment and just state the opposite. No, I am like, I have got I have got the car of my dreams. I have got the house of my dreams. I'm getting paid however much you want to get paid. So state the opposite, even if you don't believe it. I still manifested the life that I always have been like, that not always, but the life I've been wanting for the past 8 years. I'm living that now, and I was still stressed out, had doubt, all of that stuff. But I just kept affirming. I just kept affirming, not knowing if it was all going to work out, not knowing if all of this was just a waste of time and I should just go get a 9 to 5 job. But here's the thing, your life is not going to look like what you think it's going to look like. It's going to be far better. It is going to be beyond your wildest of dreams. But here's the thing, manifestation is a journey. It is a journey. So as you're affirming these things, opportunities are going to land in your lap. The universe is going to talk through other people to kind of give you those opportunities to be able to move forward. So for instance, when I was manifesting this house, I was just affirming, I listed all the qualities I wanted in a house. It was safe, whimsical, magical. Yeah, my daughter and I feel safe. Safety is like one of my big things. And I didn't necessarily list, I didn't know what the house looked like. And that's the thing. You don't have to know what the job looks like. You don't have to know what the house looks like. Just know the qualities that will make your manifestations easier. When it comes to a car, always say it's safe. Like when it comes to a person, a house, a car, a job, always state that it's safe. That's number one. So I always talk about the qualities because, yeah, I couldn't visualize what their house looked like. I just knew that I wanted it to be around a forest, and I live on the borderline of a forest. But getting back to the opportunity. So I'm saying I'm living the house of my dreams. It's magical, it's whimsical, I feel safe. Now, I met a friend about 3 years ago now, and the house that she lives opposite is my dream house. My absolute dream house, and no one was living here. I would dote on this house every time I went over. And she said, "Why don't you write them a letter?" Now, that was the universe speaking through someone else in order for me to be able to move forward with my manifestation without realizing it. Anyway, I didn't write a letter for months, months and months and months, like 7 or 8 months. I didn't do it. Eventually, I did. And because of that letter, it led me to getting this house. Now, when the opportunities arise, again, it's going to be far better than what you could ever imagine. The owners of this house, they asked me how much rent I could afford. They were initially selling this house when I finally met them. They were selling it. They were signing the paperwork the next day to sell it. Like to sign the contract with the real estate. And I kind of burst their bubble of selling it, and not burst their bubble because they told me they actually didn't want to sell it, but it was like what they thought was the only option. I met them and asked them if they'd be willing to rent it. And she said, and I asked, like, why didn't you think to rent this prior to selling it if you didn't want to sell the house? And she goes, I never thought of it. I never thought to rent this house out. And she asked me what rent I could afford. 2 days later, it was all organized. They asked me what rent I could afford. This house would be, if they put this up for rent, there is no way known I could afford this house. So that's how opportunities can look. At the very start of my journey, the very, very, very beginning, when I left my toxic relationship, I moved out of home for a year and then moved back in with my parents because I thought I was saving for a house. Turned out I thought I was saving for a house, but when I look back, I realized I was actually starting my career. I did so much study and then couldn't afford to buy a house. So I'm gonna try and manifest rent to own. So I got pins and needles in my leg and it's really bad. Okay, where was I? So at the very beginning, when I moved out, I miscalculated my finances. So this was this is when I had just started learning about manifestation. I had just found Dr. Joe Dispenza and miscalculated my finances and realized I needed a job. But my daughter was still only like 3 or 4 months old. I couldn't take her to daycare. And so I think I think at 6 months old, you can take them at, I'm not sure. But anyway, couldn't afford to put her in daycare. Couldn't. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a job. I didn't know what I could do. And so I just kept telling the universe, like, please, like, help me. Like, I had $20 left over. So I was saying to the universe, like, please help me find something. Anyway, and opportunities aren't going to look like what you think they're going to either. You kind of just have to go with the flow of it. So I was at Coles at the supermarket and there's a big community board of flyers that people post. There was a handwritten flyer saying cleaner wanted, 2 hours per fortnight, and I think it was like $30 at the time, $30 per hour, so it ended up being $60. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is amazing." Like $60, I felt rich. Like that could help me pay for extra groceries at the time. Anyway, so I called them. They actually said they had actually found a cleaner and yeah, don't need me. So I was like, "Damn." Anyway, so they called me back a month later. They called me back a month later and was like, "Hey, like, are you still interested in the cleaning job?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Well, our cleaner has fallen through. Um, could you come clean our house?" I said, "Yes." And at the time, my daughter was going and seeing her dad for a few hours every so often throughout the week. And so they were willing to work around my hours. So when my daughter would be at her dad's, I would go and clean the house and then I would rush back to go pick her up. So opportunities are not going to look like what you think they are. I mean, I didn't want to clean houses. I didn't want to be a cleaner, but it's the opportunity that the universe gave me. I was then end up cleaning half of the street because then they told their neighbors and then those neighbors told the people across the road. And I ended up, and it was cash only as well. So I ended up making enough money to pay for all of my groceries plus more. At the time, I felt so rich. Like I was earning like under $500, but when like I was going through court, I was going through like this really toxic breakup with my daughter's dad. So having that money was a godsend. And then that ended up turning into house sitting for one of the people, and then eventually a job fell into my lap. With the job, I had a friend who I hadn't seen in 15 years. I bumped into her. She was working at a clothing store. This woman walks in asking if she knows anyone that's looking for a job. She goes, "Yes," having me in mind, and gave her my number, went for my interview, and I got the job straight away. And that started my spiritual journey. That job was very spiritual, candlelit, Turkish lamps, very healing. It was beautiful. I just ended up outgrowing it. I never wanted to start a business. I was very comfortable working for someone. I didn't want the responsibility of having my own business. I kind of wanted to just do my thing, go home and not worry about work. But for some reason, my heart just kept pulling me towards starting my own business. And I procrastinate. Okay. I'm a huge procrastinator. So it took me a very long time to start saying yes to opportunities that had me outside my comfort zone, starting my own business. But my very first business space fell into my lap. Mentors fell into my lap. I didn't like the only time I've done a Google search was like when I was wanting a mentor to help me through my breakup, going through court. I really just needed someone there so I could, it was like a safety thing. I felt safe having someone guiding me through life at the time. But I went out of my way to find this person and she was great, but she wasn't what I needed at a soul level. When I have waited for mentors to fall into my lap, when I've waited for online courses to fall into my lap, friendships, whatever it is, when I have waited for it to come to me, it has been beyond expectations. They were people, experiences, things that I didn't even know I needed from that mentor, that online course, that friendship. So that's the lazy manifesting way. Affirm, affirm, affirm. Ignore your 3D, ignore what you're experiencing, and allow everything to fall into your lap. Opportunities won't look like what you think they're going to. I didn't want to be a cleaner, but it's what got me through my hardest times. And I swapped my language from being like, "Oh, I'm a cleaner," to, "No, I just get to work for myself. I don't have to answer to anyone. They tell me what to clean, but then I just put my headphones on and just do my own thing. But I took integrity when I cleaned those houses, and that's the thing, like, you gotta create a good karma. Like, when I cleaned those houses, again, I did it with pride and integrity. I didn't ever do a bad job. I've always been that way, like, I always, um like, when I do something for someone, I want them to get the best experience. I don't want them, and it's the way I got brought up too. You never do a bad job. So, and if that's cleaning toilets, do it with integrity, because that good karma is going to come back to you. When someone tells you, that my friend who told me to write that letter, that was a bit outside my comfort zone to leave a letter like that. Something very simple and small, but that felt a bit uncomfortable. And it took me months to eventually write it. That opportunity was spoken through a friend. When I had my very first business space, again, she fell into my lap and she asked me to have that business space. She ended up becoming a business mentor of mine and taught me the style of massage that I do. I do like nervous system regulation massage. And she was a mentor that fell into my lap that taught me this style of massage that I see no one doing. And then she had this business space pop up, asked me to take it because she saw the potential in what I how like with how I could grow and start my own business. And I declined that for, again, months. For months, I declined that business space. I had to mull it over. I had to keep visualizing myself in that space. And then when I got enough courage, I eventually said yes, and the space was still there waiting for me. And that kickstarted my career. That kickstarted me having my own business. So, and that fell into my lap. I wasn't searching for a business space. I wasn't even searching for this mentor. But because I have integrity in what I do, good karma comes back to me. I I'm affirming what it is that the qualities in a life that I want to manifest. All your self-talk has to be your affirmation. Like, that's all you say when you're driving, when you're showering, when you're going to bed. It's all you say. Be mindful of the conversations you have with people. You're constantly manifesting and you're not even realizing it. Ignore what you're experiencing, ignore your 3D, and just think, what I'm currently experiencing is my thoughts from however long ago. So if I want things to be different, I've got to be different. I've got to change my language. You have to change your language. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And you have to be the change. And it all starts with your self talk. Like, it's actually quite simple, but we get so attached to what we're experiencing that we completely immerse ourselves emotionally into that experience rather than becoming aware of how we're currently being, how we're behaving and reacting in that moment, and changing it up to then visualizing the future and bringing it into the now. So I hope that makes sense and you can start your manifestation journey being a lot clearer about what it is that you need to do. So I also want to pull some oracle cards for you and just see what you get. All right, so we've got Unbound, Releasing Soul Patterns, Contracts, and Past Lives. So this is talking about your karmic lessons. What you're currently experiencing has been lessons from lifetimes ago that you hadn't learned. So, for instance, my one was my karmic relationship. I had to learn how to be on my own so then I could start manifesting a totally different kind of relationship. I had to learn self worth, self love, and that I am deserving of someone who is loving. So, what you're experiencing in life is karmic life lessons that you need to learn. I'll pull two more. Oh, I think this card must have come out. Trust the niggle. So where is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? So that is like what, again, coming back to your feelings, what do you feel you need to do? You could also ask yourself, where is there any resentment in your life? That could, like, what's something that keeps popping up in your mind? Because that will be the thing that you need to focus on. The niggle could be you have this feeling that you just want to pack up and go travel. That's a niggle. Another one could be like, again, like learning a life lesson. Like you just feel that you need to learn to be on your own. That could be the niggle. Like it's feeling what that next step is and actually taking the action. Pillar of light. So that is your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. So as you're learning these life lessons, as you're picking up the breadcrumbs of your next steps, that could be like my niggle is getting up my 10K steps. Like now that I have the house, I feel like more free to now focus on other things. So my niggle is health. Doing like waking up earlier, that's a niggle. Doing stretching and going for my getting up my 10K steps, that's my niggle. As you are doing these things, you're raising your vibration. So then you can start attracting better things in life. So, what do you feel like your next step is? That is your niggle. As you take those steps, you are raising your vibration to become a better person. Maybe you want to start reacting differently to certain situations, changing your behaviors. So, as you do that, you're you're rising. You're rising to experience a better life. Okay. So with that, I'm going to love you and leave you and see you in my next video. Bye bye.